If you're over 60 and that stubborn belly fat just won't budge no matter what you try, listen closely, because it's not your age and it's not your metabolism failing you. It might just be missing these 9 foods. Doctors, dietitians, and researchers at places like Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and the National Institutes of Health have spent years studying exactly how food changes belly fat in people over 60. And today, I'm going to walk you through every single proven finding in plain, simple language so you can start using it today. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I talk about real, evidence-based health information. No myths, no miracle cures, just what the science actually says. And today's topic is one so many of you have asked about, that extra fat around the middle that seems to show up out of nowhere after 60, even if your weight on the scale hasn't changed much. Here's the good news right away. This isn't about starving yourself, cutting out entire food groups, or spending hours at the gym every day. It's about understanding which foods genuinely help your body fight this specific kind of fat, and which ones make it worse. Stick with me through this whole video, because food number 7 on this list might genuinely surprise you, and the safety information near the end could be the most important part for some of you watching. Before we jump into the list of foods, let's slow down for a moment and really understand what's happening in the body, because this matters. Belly fat after 60 isn't just about how your clothes fit or what you see in the mirror. There are actually 2 different types of fat around your stomach. One is called subcutaneous fat. That's the fat just under your skin that you can pinch. The other, and the much more concerning one, is called visceral fat. Visceral fat sits deep inside your abdomen, wrapping around your internal organs like your liver, your pancreas, and your intestines. You usually can't pinch this fat, but you can often tell it's there if your waist has grown even though the rest of your body hasn't changed much. According to Harvard Medical School, lifestyle changes, not supplements, not fat-burning pills, and not extreme diets, are the most effective and proven way to reduce visceral fat. This is worth repeating because so much marketing tries to convince older adults otherwise. A 2023 scientific review that looked at 40 separate clinical trials found that people who followed calorie-controlled diets lost significantly more visceral fat compared to people who didn't manage their calorie intake at all. On top of that, a large study published in November 2025 by researchers at Cambridge and Oxford used detailed body imaging and found that people who combined diet changes with regular exercise lost almost 2 kilograms more total body fat, and about 150 grams more visceral fat specifically, compared to people who only dieted or only exercised. In other words, food and movement work best as a team, not separately. Fiber deserves its own moment here because the research is honestly striking. One large study following over 1,000 adults found that for every additional 10 grams of soluble fiber people ate each day, their visceral fat was reduced by roughly 3.7% over a 5-year period. That's not a huge daily change, roughly the amount of fiber in a bowl of oats or a cup of beans, but done consistently, day after day, year after year, it adds up to a real, measurable difference. Now let's talk about why this specific issue, belly fat after 60, deserves so much attention. As we age, our bodies naturally begin to lose muscle mass, a process doctors call sarcopenia. This isn't a disease, it's a normal part of aging, but it has real consequences. Muscle tissue burns more calories at rest than fat tissue does, so as muscle mass declines, metabolism naturally slows down too. That means the same eating habits that kept your weight steady in your 40s might start adding fat around your belly in your 60s and 70s, even if you haven't changed a thing. On top of that, hormones shift significantly during this stage of life. Women experience a drop in estrogen after menopause, and estrogen plays a role in where the body chooses to store fat. Men experience a gradual decline in testosterone, which affects muscle maintenance and fat distribution as well. Both of these hormonal shifts tend to push fat storage toward the abdomen specifically, rather than the hips, thighs, or arms, which is part of why belly fat becomes more common with age for both men and women. Here's the part that makes this more than just a cosmetic concern. Visceral fat isn't inactive tissue just sitting there. It behaves almost like an organ itself, releasing inflammatory chemicals and hormones into your bloodstream continuously. This chronic, low-level inflammation is linked by extensive research to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and high blood pressure. And more recent findings add another layer of concern. A 2025 study found that abdominal fat in middle-aged and older adults was associated with early brain changes related to Alzheimer's disease, including a buildup of a protein called beta-amyloid. So when we talk about reducing belly fat after 60, we're really talking about protecting your heart, your blood sugar, and your brain, all at the same time. Before we get into the foods themselves, I want to clear up a few myths that circulate constantly, because believing them can actually waste your time and effort. The first myth is that you can spot reduce belly fat through exercises like crunches or sit-ups. This simply isn't how the body works. When you lose fat, your body decides where it comes from, based largely on genetics and hormones, not which muscle you're exercising. Strength training absolutely helps with overall body composition, but no amount of ab exercises will specifically melt fat from your stomach while leaving fat everywhere else untouched. The second myth is that skipping meals speeds up fat loss. For many older adults, this backfires. Skipping meals often leads to intense hunger later in the day, which leads to overeating, often of less healthy, more convenient foods. It can also contribute to muscle loss, which is particularly risky after 60, since preserving muscle is already a challenge. The third myth involves detox teas, juice cleanses, and so-called fat-burning supplements. None of these have been proven by the FDA, the NIH, or any major medical organization to safely and effectively reduce visceral fat. Many aren't regulated closely, and some can even interact dangerously with medications common in older adults, like blood thinners or blood pressure medication. The fourth myth is that all fat is bad, so a very low-fat diet is the healthiest choice. This isn't accurate either. Healthy fats, the kind found in fatty fish, avocados, olive oil, and nuts, actually support your body in reducing harmful visceral fat and inflammation. Cutting out fat entirely often means replacing it with refined carbohydrates, which can make things worse, not better. There are also a few facts that most people simply don't know, and I think they're worth sharing because they change how you think about this whole topic. First, you can have a high amount of visceral fat even if you look thin on the outside, sometimes called being skinny fat. Waist size and internal fat levels don't always match up with the number on the scale or your overall body size. Second, and this is genuinely encouraging, losing just 5 to 10% of your total body weight can meaningfully shrink visceral fat and improve markers like blood pressure and blood sugar, even before you get anywhere near a so-called goal weight. You don't need to lose a huge amount of weight to see real health benefits. Third, more than half of the calories in a typical American diet now come from ultra-processed foods, according to a 2025 report in the Journal of Nutrition. And these foods are strongly linked to weight gain around the belly specifically. And finally, poor sleep and chronic stress raise a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol specifically encourages the body to store fat around the abdomen. This means two people could eat identical diets, and the one who's sleeping poorly and constantly stressed may still carry more belly fat. Food matters enormously, but it's not the entire picture. All right, now let's get into the 9 foods themselves, one at a time, and for each one I'll explain exactly why it works, based on real research, and give you a simple, realistic way to add it to your day. Number 1 is fatty fish, things like salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, and research shows that omega-3s help reduce fat buildup in the liver and calm the inflammatory signals in your body that encourage fat storage around the midsection specifically. People who eat 2 or more servings of fatty fish per week tend to carry noticeably less visceral fat than people who rarely eat fish at all. In real life, this could mean swapping your usual fried chicken dinner on a Tuesday night for a piece of grilled or baked salmon instead. It doesn't need to be fancy. Even canned salmon or sardines on whole grain crackers count. Number 2 is avocado. I know avocados are calorie-dense, and some people avoid them for that reason, but a randomized controlled trial found something interesting. Women who ate 1 avocado a day for 12 weeks experienced a measurable reduction in visceral abdominal fat compared to a control group eating the exact same number of total calories without avocado. This suggests avocados may have specific benefits related to fiber and healthy fat content beyond just their calorie count. A simple way to use this: add a quarter of an avocado to your morning eggs or your lunch salad a few times a week. Number 3 is oats and other whole grains. Oats are loaded with a specific type of soluble fiber that forms a gel-like substance in your digestive system, which slows digestion, keeps you feeling full for longer, and feeds the beneficial bacteria living in your gut. Instead of a sugary breakfast cereal that spikes your blood sugar and leaves you hungry again within an hour, a warm bowl of plain oats topped with berries gives you steady energy and real fullness that lasts until lunchtime. Number 4 is beans and lentils. These are an excellent source of both soluble fiber and plant-based protein at the same time, which is a powerful combination for feeling satisfied after a meal. Beans are also incredibly practical. They're inexpensive, they last a long time in your pantry, and they can be added to soups, salads, or served as a simple side dish. Adding just half a cup of beans or lentils to a meal a few times a week is an easy, low-effort change. Number 5 is plain Greek yogurt or kefir. These fermented dairy foods introduce live, beneficial bacteria into your gut. Research increasingly shows that a more diverse gut microbiome is associated with lower levels of visceral fat, while a less diverse gut microbiome tends to go along with higher levels. In fact, one large study involving identical twins found that differences in gut bacteria diversity explained a meaningful portion of the difference in belly fat between genetically identical siblings, which strongly suggests the gut plays a real, independent role here. Try swapping your usual afternoon bag of chips or cookies for a bowl of plain Greek yogurt, maybe with a few berries mixed in for natural sweetness. Number 6 is leafy green vegetables, like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. These are extremely low in calories while being packed with antioxidants, vitamins, and fiber. They help you fill up your plate and your stomach without adding many calories at all, which makes it easier to maintain a moderate calorie intake without feeling deprived. Adding a handful of spinach to a morning smoothie or a side salad at dinner is a simple, almost effortless way to work more greens into your day. Number 7, and this is the one I mentioned earlier that surprises people, is berries. Things like blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries. Compared to most other fruits, berries are relatively low in sugar while being high in fiber and antioxidants. This combination means they satisfy a sweet craving without causing the same blood sugar spike that many other sugary snacks or desserts would cause. A cup of mixed berries can be a genuinely satisfying dessert replacement, and it comes with real nutritional benefits attached. Number 8 is nuts, particularly almonds and walnuts. Nuts provide a combination of healthy fats, plant protein, and fiber, all in one small package. The key word here is moderate portions. Since nuts are calorie-dense, a small handful, roughly a quarter cup, is generally the right amount for a snack. Keeping a small container of nuts at your desk or in your bag can be a much better alternative to reaching for chips or crackers when hunger strikes between meals. Number 9 is eggs or lean poultry, like chicken breast or turkey. These are high-quality, complete protein sources, meaning they contain all the essential amino acids your body needs. Remember what we talked about earlier: muscle loss is a major driver of slowing metabolism after 60, and adequate protein intake is one of the most important tools for preserving the muscle you already have. Protein also has what's called a high thermic effect, meaning your body actually burns more calories digesting protein compared to digesting carbohydrates or fat. A couple of eggs at breakfast or a piece of grilled chicken at lunch are simple, practical ways to keep your protein intake consistent throughout the day. Now I want to be really clear about something important. None of these 9 foods work like magic, and no responsible doctor or researcher would ever tell you that eating avocado or salmon alone will make belly fat disappear. What the research actually shows is that these foods, eaten consistently as part of your regular pattern of eating, over weeks and months and years, help create the conditions your body needs to gradually reduce visceral fat through better blood sugar control, less inflammation, improved gut health, and preserved muscle mass. It's the overall pattern that matters most, not any single meal or single food. On the flip side, there are foods and drinks worth genuinely limiting if belly fat and long-term health are priorities for you. Sugary drinks and sodas are near the top of this list, since liquid sugar is absorbed quickly and doesn't fill you up the way solid food does. Fast food and fried foods tend to be high in refined carbohydrates and unhealthy fats together, a combination linked strongly to weight gain around the middle. Processed snacks made with refined flour and added sugar, along with processed meats like bacon, sausage, and deli meats, are also worth cutting back on, since research links regular consumption of processed meats to higher rates of heart disease and other health concerns. White bread, pastries, and sugary breakfast cereals fall into a similar category. They digest quickly, spike blood sugar, and don't keep you full for long. And finally, excess alcohol adds what's often called empty calories, calories with little nutritional value. And some research suggests regular heavy drinking is specifically associated with increased abdominal fat. Diet is only one half of this equation, though, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't talk about movement too, since the Cambridge and Oxford study I mentioned earlier found that combining the two produces meaningfully better results than either one alone. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends adults aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity each week, and honestly, brisk walking counts. You don't need a gym membership or expensive equipment. Just 20 to 30 minutes of walking most days of the week is enough to meet this goal. Alongside that, strength training 2 to 3 times a week is especially important after 60 because it directly counters the muscle loss we talked about earlier. This doesn't have to mean heavy weightlifting, light dumbbells, resistance bands, or even body weight exercises like sitting and standing from a chair repeatedly can be effective, especially when done consistently. Balance and flexibility exercises, like yoga or Tai Chi, are also worth including, not necessarily for belly fat directly, but because they reduce fall risk, which becomes an increasingly important safety consideration with age. Always start slowly, and if you have existing heart, joint, or lung conditions, talk with your doctor before beginning any new exercise routine, so it can be tailored safely to your specific situation. Now let's talk about the most important part of this video, the warning signs that require immediate medical attention. Not home remedies, not waiting it out, and not trying to push through with diet and exercise. If you ever experience chest pain, pressure, or tightness, that needs emergency care right away. The same is true for sudden shortness of breath that comes on without explanation. Sudden, severe abdominal pain or noticeable swelling in your stomach area should also be checked immediately, as should any unexplained rapid weight loss or weight gain, since these can sometimes signal an underlying medical issue unrelated to diet. And if you ever notice signs that could indicate a stroke, sudden numbness, especially on one side of the body, confusion, difficulty speaking, or sudden vision changes, call emergency services immediately. None of these situations should ever be treated with home remedies or delayed while you wait to see if they improve on their own. I also want to speak directly to a few groups of people who should be more cautious before making major changes based on this video. If you have diabetes or prediabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, or you're currently taking blood thinners or blood sugar medication, please talk with your doctor or a registered dietitian before significantly increasing your fiber or protein intake, since your individual needs and medication interactions may require some adjustments that a general video like this simply can't account for. This isn't meant to discourage you, it's meant to make sure the changes you make are actually safe and effective for your specific situation. So, to bring this all together, losing belly fat after 60 really isn't about chasing a perfect body or fitting into an old pair of jeans, although that can certainly be a nice side benefit. It's fundamentally about protecting your heart, your blood sugar, your brain, and your independence for as many years ahead as possible. The 9 foods we covered today: fatty fish, avocado, oats, beans and lentils, plain yogurt or kefir, leafy greens, berries, nuts, and eggs or lean poultry, all have real research behind them showing they support this goal when eaten consistently as part of an overall healthy pattern, alongside regular movement, good sleep, and stress management. If this video gave you real, useful information, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. We cover topics just like this regularly. Give the video a like if you found it helpful. It genuinely helps this information reach more people your age who might need it. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which of these 9 foods you're most excited to try first, or if you have any of your own tips that have worked for you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.